What's going on, guys? Moving forward, this is going to be the format that I use, so I hope you like it this way. I think it's better than what I was doing previously. But let's get into this review of the new Sabaton album, The Great War. Many of you may not know this, but the heavy metal, power metal genre is one of my absolute favorites. When it comes to like some of my top albums or my top bands, I would say Dream Evil with their album Dragon Slayer is like one of my all-time favorite albums. I might even put it in a top 5 list. And it's just epic stuff. You know, I've always enjoyed bands that, you know, that have the folklore or the historical tales or anything like that over just some epic choruses. You know, I always loved like metal, like heavy riffs and then like epic choruses. I think it's just a great mix. Sure, I love screams, lows and highs. You know, the growls is just as much as the next person, but there's just something about this that really just motivates you, really pumps you up. Very good stuff to use at the gym. Sabaton's been on my radar for a while, but I never really listened to them that much, and that's just being distracted and whatnot, being too lazy to just look into them. But I heard them for the first time when they did the Twilight of the Thunder God cover. I think it was like back in like 2012 or something. This is a great cover. This is really good. Who is this band? No, Sabaton. Checked out a couple of their tracks. Oh, they seem pretty good. And then I just never really went back to them. And it wasn't until their previous album, The Last Stand, is where I really took notice of them. I think it was the same for a lot of people. They had that single, The Last Stand, that really exploded onto the scene. There were people memeing it like crazy.
Hey son, I wanted to talk to you. I know religion's important and all, but I think you might be taking it a...
So that was the first album that I really started listening to all the way through, and I thought this is awesome because I always loved concept albums, and this is basically what they do. Just an album, The Last Stand, of just things and scenarios of last stands. Like you had the you know, the Battle of the 300 at the Hot Gates in Thermopylae. Like, I'm a huge history buff, and I'm also obsessed with ancient Greece. So it was amazing when I got to go to Greece and I got to touch the stone, the marble, things that are thousands of years old that I'm like, this is insane. Like, marvel at this shit. So hearing this type of folklore, these tales sung epically, is like, oh, I absolutely love this band. So Sabaton dropped their new album a few months ago, The Great War, and it's just another solid album, another concept album, The Great War, World War I. A lot of people know about the World War I, but they just do a great job just capturing points in it and just showing you like that war is hell, and just showing you just, you know, I mean, maybe it has the effect that some people are like, I think I want to join the army because hopefully Sabaton will sing a song about me. But it also just shows you like, damn, there was some crazy shit that went down here. Now the album opens up with the song The Future of Warfare, and I think it's a great opener too because it kind of just has these little spurts of the chorus, and it kind of really just grabs your attention like, oh yeah, this is going to be pretty epic. It's a good song, good opener, and good concept too because it's just talking about how warfare has changed. This is the turning point for modern warfare, you know, with tanks and just bombing, and gas, and all that crazy shit that they didn't have before in the 1800s. So definitely kind of setting the tone for it nicely. So there's a lot of fantastic tracks on here, but I just want to focus on some key points, some of my favorite ones and favorite moments in this album. The song Great War kind of reminds me of the song The Last Stand. Not only because they're like, oh, you know, the album's called The Last Stand, here's The Last Stand, and the album's called The Great War, and the song's called Great War, but just even like with the tone, the feeling of it, the keyboard specifically, like the synths, kind of remind me of the vibes that they put off. You kind of hear what I'm saying, right? It's not a bad thing at all, and actually I think Great War is a hell of a lot more epic. I absolutely love the chorus. Ghost in the Trenches is definitely one of my favorites, and it follows Great War. Not only is it a good song with a fantastic chorus, this song is a tribute to Francis Pegamagabo, who was the best sniper in World War I and probably one of the greatest snipers of all time, because this dude was this Canadian guy that was a essentially, you know, an Aborigine, because you can't even say Native American because he was Canadian. They just said like you're just a Canadian Aborigine or whatever. But he was, you know, a native, and this dude just was the shit. You know, he would slip in and out of trenches. He would go fuck with the enemies. He would just go and, like, you know, while they're sleeping, like, just infiltrate and then cut off a piece of their clothing and then show his homies like, yo, look what I did. Look, I'm the shit. So that song's basically about him being a badass, and I think the song really matches like the level of like that dude's badassery. So good on you guys. My favorite track on here is Fields of Verdun because it just has a really nice vibe to it. It's the most heavy metal influenced one rather than like, say, power metal. Like, I know people would kind of lump them in the same genre, but this has a more of like your traditional heavy metal sound where you're like, oh yeah, that's heavy metal. You know, where power metal a lot of times relies on these crazy soaring choruses and then a lot of keyboards and stuff. You got to have a lot of synth in there. So this one, I really like how it goes, and then the concept is cool as hell too because Verdun was just crazy, a crazy battle. Almost lasted a year, over 300 days, and the French lost 5% of their population. Like, you had a total of over 700,000 people dead, and the French were just keep coming, just keep coming. So when you always hear people talking about the French are pussies and they always surrender, just read into Fields of Verdun. It really kind of shows you how fucking tough and how much resolve and how much they don't give up, because Jesus, 5%. And the closing single, not the official outro, because there's another song after this, there's an outro after this, but the end of the war to end all wars is, you know, properly named, and it definitely matches the type of energy and just the level of like epicness that this song displays. And the cool thing is they have other versions of this album. They have the soundtrack version where it has like, it just sounds like cinematic versions of their album. And they also have a history version where they offer a little bit of commentary before the track. Like, they have this older lady. She almost sounds like the lady that did like the Gaia in God of War, in the God of War series, and she was the Oracle in the first one. It sounds like her, but I don't know if it's her or not. It's probably not, but I'm just saying, just so you have an understanding of what you'd be getting. Geez, what else could I say? Fantastic album, fantastic band. I really like how it sounds. I think it's even mixed better, mastered better. The tones sound better than the previous album. The previous album, I thought, I was like, oh yeah, this sounds really good. But it's definitely always, it makes me happy when they either match the same type of level or it gets better, because a lot of times, you know, there's times people go to different producers, and then depending on the producer they're with, they might have a really horrible fucking sounding record. I'm like, what happened? Like, how is this the follow-up to something that sounded so good? Also, I want to stay away from review scores because it's kind of hard to stay consistent with that. Everyone uses that system. I just want to stay on a more of a recommended level, like highly recommended. Yeah, I kind of recommend it, or I don't recommend it, or it's just straight trash. Now, when it comes to Sabaton's The Great War, I highly recommend this album. I think if you're a fan of metal, you should absolutely give it a listen. If you're a fan of history, most certainly you'll want to give this a listen, because even if you're not necessarily into this genre, I imagine you'll get into it, because you'll be like, wow, this makes history so much more interesting and enjoyable than I already did enjoy. That's it for this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section below what albums you want me to review. I'm going to try my best to just stick with 2019 reviews, but then I will start throwing in some classic reviews as well. So just let me know down below, and then, you know, I'll keep pumping them out as they come. So thanks a lot, guys. See you in the next video.